The diplomatic hall of the Keshari worldship hummed with ancient protocol. Lyra Dane stood before the Council of Elders, her worn expedition bag at her feet, trying desperately to focus on the treaty negotiations that would determine humanity's place among the galactic community. The Keshari were apex predators, evolved from feline ancestry, towering, fur-covered beings with retractable claws and eyes that could track movement across kilometers. Their culture valued strength, honor, and above all, solitude. They did not bond. They did not show weakness. And they certainly did not purr. Lyra had spent 6 months learning their customs, memorizing the intricate gestures of respect, understanding that a single diplomatic misstep could doom humanity's application to the galactic concordance. Earth needed allies. Earth needed resources. Earth needed this to work. The humans, Elder Vashkor rumbled, his silver-tipped fur rippling with authority, claim they can contribute to our collective knowledge. What can a species so young offer those who have sailed the stars for millennia? Lyra straightened, prepared to deliver her carefully rehearsed response about human adaptability and problem-solving. But before she could speak, her bag shifted. She froze. A tiny striped tail barely the length of her forearm protruded from the opening. Then it disappeared with a soft whoosh. The elders continued as if nothing had happened. Elder Threnka, whose scars told stories of 100 hunts, gestured for Lyra to continue. You were saying human? Yes, Lyra stammered, her mind racing. Had they not seen it? Impossible. Keshari vision could detect a dust mote in shadow. Humanity has demonstrated remarkable resilience in... Her bag trembled. A muffled squeak emerged, followed by what could only be described as determined shuffling. Lyra's heart hammered. She knew exactly what, or rather, who, was in her bag. Kira, the curious cub she'd accidentally befriended during her shore leave in the worldship's agricultural sector. The youngling had been fascinated by Lyra's strange, furless paws and her willingness to play simple games. But Keshari cubs were strictly supervised, kept away from outsiders, raised in the old ways of isolation and strength. If the elders discovered Kira had stowed away, if they thought Lyra had stolen a cub... Continue, Elder Vashkor said, his expression unreadable. Lyra swallowed. Human innovation stems from our social bonds. We believe that connection... Her bag moved again, more insistently. That connection creates strength rather than weakness. A tiny paw emerged from the bag's side pocket. Then another. Kira was attempting to climb out while remaining hidden. A feat of optimism that only a cub could attempt. Elder Threnka's ear twitched. Just once. Interesting philosophy, the elder said smoothly. Among Keshari, we believe strength comes from standing alone. A warrior needs no pack. The bag began to vibrate. Lyra recognized that vibration. It was the sound every caretaker in the agricultural sector had warned her about. The sound that made Kira simultaneously adorable and contraband. Kira was purring. The sound grew louder, a rumbling contentment that filled the ceremonial silence like thunder. Lyra watched in horror as the elder's ears all swiveled toward her bag in perfect synchronization. And yet, they said nothing. Elder Vashkor leaned forward, his massive frame casting shadows across the marble floor. Tell us, Lyra Dane, in your observation of our people, what have you learned about Keshari nature? It was a trap. It had to be. But Lyra had nothing to lose now. She glanced at her bag, where Kira's head had finally emerged, the cub's bright copper eyes blinking in the chamber's light. I've learned, Lyra said carefully, that what a species says about itself and what it truly is can be two different things. The elders remained motionless. Lyra continued, her voice gaining strength. You speak of solitude and independence. Your histories celebrate the lone warrior, the isolated sage. But I've watched your people. I've seen how the engineers always work in pairs, how the navigators train their apprentices with a gentleness that contradicts your warrior codes, how the agricultural workers rotate care of the younglings even when they're not blood-related. Kira, now fully visible, scrambled out of the bag and immediately attempted to scale Lyra's leg. purring like a miniature starship engine. "I've learned," Lyra said, scooping up the cub before it could tumble, "that the Kashari are not a species of loners pretending to be social. You're a social species pretending to be loners." The silence stretched so long Lyra wondered if she'd just ended humanity's hopes with a single observation. Then Elder Threnka did something unprecedented. She laughed a sound like grinding stones wrapped in velvet. 6 months, Threnka said, addressing the other elders. "It took this human 6 months to see what we've hidden from the galaxy for centuries." Vashkor's stern expression cracked into something that might have been a smile. "Kira has chosen well. The cub always did have good instincts." Lyra blinked. You knew?" "We heard the purring from 3 chambers away," Elder Threnka admitted. "Kira's stealth skills require significant development." Kira, oblivious to the political earthquake occurring, had curled into Lyra's arms and resumed purring with even greater enthusiasm. Vashkor stood, his ceremonial robes flowing like liquid night. "The Kashari maintain our reputation as solitary apex predators because the galaxy respects strength, but we tire of the isolation we've chosen. Humanity offers something we've forgotten how to ask, for the honesty to be vulnerable. The courage to admit that connection is not weakness." He approached Lyra, towering over her, and placed one massive paw on Kira's head. The cub immediately began to knead Lyra's arm with tiny claws. "The Council recognizes humanity's application," Vashkor declared, "and we approve," Threnka added. "Though you should know, Lyra Dane, that by Kashari custom, when a cub chooses a guardian, the bond is considered sacred. Kara seems to have chosen you." Lyra looked down at the purring bundle in her arms, then back at the elders' barely concealed expressions of amusement. "So, I'm a guardian now?" "Yes," Vashkor confirmed. "Which makes you family. And family is invited to stay for the celebration feast." As the formal chamber dissolved into something warmer, as other Keshari began to filter in, including, Lyra noticed, several more cubs who'd apparently been waiting for permission to drop the pretense. She realized what humanity had truly accomplished. They hadn't proven their strength or their technology. They'd proven something far more valuable. That it was okay to admit you needed someone, even if you had claws that could tear starship hulls. Kira looked up at her with copper eyes full of mischief and trust, and purred even louder. Humanity, it seemed, had finally found its pack.